There's also the idea of polytheism in the Nation of Islam. The idea of these 24 scientists. Again, island of Patmos, the number 24. These things are coming from Revelation. There's also the idea of pantheism in the Nation of Islam. Louis Farrakhan, in his book, A Torchlight for America, uses terminology reminiscent of the New Age movement in attributing deity to all mankind, in particular Black people. In one instance, he states, one of the things that separates man from the beast is knowledge. Knowledge feeds the development of the human being so that the person can grow and develop into the divine and become one with the Creator. Here he gets to the idea that what keeps the Black man from asserting his deity is a lack of knowledge. A lack of knowledge. He has to come to the knowledge of who he is so that his deity is sort of activated, if you will. For them, as we'll see, that is salvation. What about their doctrine of revelation? How do we know God? Well, like most cults, they have a Gnostic hermeneutic. Nation of Islam believes that the knowledge of God was withheld from the world until the coming of Wallace Fard. Elijah Muhammad taught, quote, this is the first time that the true knowledge of God has ever been revealed. And we, the poor, rejected, and despised Black American people, are blessed to be the first of all the people of earth to receive this secret knowledge of God. And that's the very definition of Gnosticism. There's a secret knowledge of God that was never revealed. And guess what? We are the first ones in the history of the world to get this secret knowledge of God. More specifically, Nation of Islam argues that white people are incapable of understanding either the Bible or the Quran, and that only those Blacks that have experienced mental resurrection can attain this true knowledge. This approach is fortified by a claim that both the Bible and the Quran have been tampered with and are thus not trustworthy. No Muslim would make this claim. So here we go. We have a secret knowledge of God that was withheld from the rest of the world until Wallace Fard came. This is Elijah Muhammad, who just happens to be Fard's disciple, and now his disciple who's currently there today. In order to understand this secret revealed knowledge, you can't get it from the Bible. Why? Because the Bible is not trustworthy. Why? Because white people touched it. You can't get it from the Quran. Why? Because Quran is not trustworthy. Why? Because white people touched it. So where do you get it? You can only get it from a Black person who has been enlightened, received the knowledge from and of the Nation of Islam. Well, I don't believe you. Well, that's because you're trusting in tainted documents and you haven't accepted what it is that we teach. Do you see the circular reasoning there? Alleged corruption of the Bible and the Quran. The Black nation is said to be the author of both the Quran and the Bible. However, like all evil, the corruption of the holy books is attributed to the white race. The enemy has tampered with the truth in both books, for he has been permitted to handle both books. The NOI teaches that the Bible was changed in order to make slaves docile. This is a very popular argument. For example, the Nation of Islam is the fastest growing religion among Black men, especially in prison. The idea is that, what you think is a result of you being programmed. The white man has programmed you. He's taught you things that were designed to docilize slaves. All that stuff about turning the other cheek, that was just so the slaves wouldn't rebel. Christianity is slave religion. You need to get away from that slave religion. How do you know it is? Well, because white people taught it to you. And you can't trust them. Now we go back to the idea of Jacob and the 24 scientists. Hence, the Nation of Islam doctrine of revelation does not account for the preservation of the essential documents of its faith. Thus, followers are relegated to dependence upon their enlightened leaders for instruction in all matters. This teaching has two main consequences. First, the movement is forced into an apostolic hierarchy. You have to have an apostolic hierarchy. You got nothing. How do you get truth? You can't read your Bible and get truth. You can't read Quran and get truth. You can only get it from your enlightened teachers, and you can only get your enlightened teachers through the apostolic hierarchy. Second, there's a need for either a restored text or a replacement text, which conveniently is something that has been promised. NOI argues, if we are to change the two worlds, meaning Christianity and Islam, then surely we need a new book. Elijah Muhammad went on to promise there is another book that none has been able to see or read, its contents coming soon from Allah, the last book. So they were waiting for a last book. Again, the critique. Number one, circular reasoning. But here's number two. They're constantly using and referring to flawed texts. You listen to them and they're quoting the Bible. What's the Bible? It's a flawed text. You can't trust it. On occasion, they'll quote from Quran. Well, what's the Quran? The Quran is a flawed text. You can't trust it. But you can trust me. So whatever I say about these texts, you know that that's the truth.